I never imagined silence could become loud, that it could press against your skull, shake something inside you, and make you question whether the world had simply decided to move on without you. That's what deafness felt like. A slow, suffocating drowning. For 30 days, that drowning became my life. I still remember the morning it began, November 14th, 6:07 a.m. The time is carved into my memory like someone etched it there with a scalpel. I woke to the vibration of my alarm beneath my pillow, but no sound followed, no beeping, no humming, nothing. I opened my eyes, blinked, rubbed my ear. The silence didn't go away. I didn't panic at first. I wish I had. Maybe it would have softened what came later. But by noon, when the silence remained wrapped around me like wet wool, fear began to prick my skin. My daughter, Mia Rowan, drove me to the hospital, her voice trembling, tears collecting in the corners of her eyes. I didn't hear her crying, but I saw her shoulders shaking. I watched her lips. "Mom, please stay strong. It's okay. It's going to be okay." I had to read her lips to understand it. It broke something inside me. The doctors ran tests, scans, needles, more tests. I watched their mouths move and read phrases I wished I hadn't. Sudden sensorineural hearing loss, severe, possibly irreversible. We'll try steroids, 30 days, maybe longer, maybe never. They gave me hope the way people hand out cheap brochures. Something nice to look at, but not really worth anything. That whole month, Mia became my entire world. She was 20, independent, hardworking, and stubborn like her father, but she stayed by my side every day after her shifts. She wrote notes for me, cooked for me, even learned basic sign language so she could communicate without exhausting me. The kind of daughter any mother would be proud of, or at least, that's what I believed then. But the truth is, when you lose your hearing, you start paying attention in ways you never have before. You watch body language, you study expressions, you read the tiniest motion, and I learned something else that month. Silence doesn't hide lies. It amplifies them. On the 30th day, December 14th, I woke up to sound. It was early morning. I heard the gentle hum of the heater, the creak of the house settling, and then the distant clatter of dishes in the kitchen. I froze. My heart thudded once, loud enough that I thought the sound would burst through my chest. I heard. I covered my mouth with both hands, tears flooding instantly. I wanted to scream. Wanted to run straight to Mia, hug her, tell her we made it, tell her everything was okay. But then something happened, a thought, a whisper, a hesitation. What if I waited? What if I listened just a little before rushing out? Not because I doubted her. No, never that. But because after a month of silence, the idea of overhearing my daughter's real, unfiltered self. It felt like a door I wasn't ready to close. I don't know why I did it. But it was the single most important decision of my life. I stayed quiet, I stayed still, and I listened. I heard Mia on the phone. At first, her voice was warm, soft, almost playful. Yeah, she's still deaf. Yeah, the doctor said maybe another month. Pause, a short laugh, a tired sigh. Then her tone shifted, sharper, irritated. No, you don't get it if she doesn't get better soon. I don't know what I'll do. I can't keep carrying all this alone. I frowned. Carrying what? I wasn't a burden. I paid my bills, I cooked, I worked remotely. She didn't carry anything for me except the emotional stress of the situation. But I brushed it aside. Stress makes all of us say dramatic things. I shouldn't have brushed it aside, because then her voice dropped. Lower, colder, the inheritance, God. I wish she'd just sign the papers already. My blood ran cold. Inheritance, papers, what papers? I held my breath. My chest tight, my hand trembling against the blanket. I've tried. She keeps saying she's not ready to rewrite the will. She's stubborn, always has been. My heart squeezed. Rewrite the will. I know she can't hear anything, but she watches too much. I swear she senses things. She just looks at me sometimes like she's reading my mind. My stomach twisted. Who was she talking to? Then Mia said a name. Aaron, calm down. I told you. I'll get the house. She's the only one in the way. My heart stopped. Aaron, her boyfriend, a man I never trusted. Too smooth, too charming, too fast. I sat frozen, the words "get the house" echoing through my mind. My house, my husband's house, the home where Mia grew up. What were they planning? What were they talking about? Selling it, living in it, taking it before I died. My fingers dug into the blanket. Then came the moment that truly shattered me. You think I want to take care of her for the rest of my life? No, she's not helpless, but she acts like it. Always walking slow, asking for help, writing everything down. My breath caught. I never asked for help. She insisted on helping. It's exhausting. I love her, but I'm not devoting my whole life to this deaf mother thing. The word stabbed deeper than any knife. Deaf mother thing, a thing, not a person. Not her mother, a burden. Silence filled the space again, heavy, suffocating. Before she spoke, her voice low and sharp. When she finally signs the will, everything will make sense. I told you I need that house. You and I deserve a future, Aaron. I'm done waiting. My vision blurred. Tears spilled silently. I had stayed quiet to hear my daughter's truth. And now I had. She didn't want my comfort. She didn't want my recovery. She didn't even want me. She wanted what I owned. My daughter, the girl whose hair I braided every morning before school, the girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, the girl who cried when she left for college. That same girl was planning her future with my property at the center. My silence didn't hide lies. It revealed them, but I didn't move. I didn't gasp. I didn't walk into the kitchen. I sat frozen, listening to the rest. I'll talk to her again tonight. She's emotional lately, but I'll convince her. She trusts me. A hollow laugh came through the wall. Of course she does. She thinks I'm her perfect little girl, a perfect little girl. The words hit me like a hammer. Then Mia whispered the sentence that broke me completely. Once she signs everything over, I won't have to deal with her anymore. I pressed my hand to my mouth, trying not to cry, trying not to make a sound, trying not to break into pieces. When she hung up the phone, I lay back against the pillows, my heart pounding, my ears ringing from the shock. My hearing had returned, and within an hour, I wished it hadn't. Because what I heard changed me forever. I wasn't the same mother anymore, and Mia wasn't the same daughter. Something inside me hardened, something quiet, something fierce, a silence of a different kind. My daughter didn't know I could hear again, and I didn't plan on telling her. Not yet. Not until I understood everything. Not until I decided what kind of woman I would become after hearing the truth. Not until I figured out how to make her face what she had just confessed to a man who wanted my house. My life, my future. I wasn't done being silent. In fact, my silence was just beginning. When Mia returned to my bedroom that morning, I had already arranged my face into the soft, tired expression she was used to seeing. My heart, however, was thundering. Every footstep she took echoed in my newly restored hearing, and each one felt like a countdown. She peeked through the doorway. Mom, her voice was gentle, the same tone she had used for a month. Sweet, patient, fake. I heard it differently now. I heard the cracks, the irritation beneath the softness, the impatience disguised as concern, but I smiled anyway. She approached the bed with a tray, tea, oatmeal, fruit. She had been treating me like porcelain for weeks. Only today, the gesture twisted into something darker. A performance, a rehearsed role. Did you sleep okay? She asked slowly, exaggerating her lips so I could read them. I nodded, pretending. It was strange. Pretending to be deaf again. Pretending not to hear the slight exhale of annoyance she let slip when the oatmeal spilled a little. Pretending not to notice how she tapped her nails against the cup, frustrated, restless. I felt like a ghost inside my own home, watching, listening, silent. She fixed my blanket, smoothed my hair, kissed my forehead. A mother's dream, but I knew it wasn't about love anymore. It was strategy, control, manipulation. I played along. After she left, I sat up slowly, breathing deeply to calm the trembling in my chest. I had a plan forming, small, fragile, but something was shifting in me. I wasn't the weak mother she thought I was. I wasn't signing anything, not now, not ever, but I needed to be careful. One wrong move, and she'd know I could hear again. And then the game would end. I wasn't ready for that. Later that afternoon, while Mia was at work, I left my room for the first time in days. My legs were stiff, but my mind was sharper than it had been in months. I walked through the hallway, past the family photos, Mia's kindergarten graduation, her first bike ride, her college cap, moments that once brought me warmth. Now they felt like pictures of a stranger. I reached the living room and froze. The coffee table drawer was open. My documents folder was missing. My heart lurched. I had kept my will, insurance files, and property papers in that drawer for years. I walked closer, my fingers trembling as I pulled the drawer fully open. Empty. Every single document was gone. I wasn't imagining anything now. I wasn't overthinking. She had taken them. My chest tightened, a wave of nausea rising. I gripped the edge of the table, breathing hard. This wasn't just a conversation with Aaron. This was a plan already in motion. I scanned the room again. A second drawer was slightly ajar. Inside it, my signature stamp, a tool I never used but kept locked away, was missing. A cold chill ran up my spine. She had stolen it. Mia wasn't just waiting for me to sign the will. She was preparing to forge it. I sank onto the sofa, hands covering my face. Betrayal has a particular flavor. Bitter, metallic, suffocating. I tasted all of it at once. For a long moment, I couldn't breathe. Why was she doing this? Why was my own daughter, my only child, plotting against me? A part of me wanted to march into her room, confront her, scream, demand answers. But the other part, the part that had survived a month of isolation, a month of silence, knew better. The strongest weapon isn't rage, it's patience. If Mia could pretend for a month, so could I. That evening, she returned home exhausted, or pretending to be exhausted. I couldn't tell which version was real anymore. She cooked pasta, humming softly, but the hum was out of tune, irritated. She was distracted, nervous. She kept checking her phone, waiting for someone's message, probably Aaron's. At dinner, she placed the plate in front of me and began signing slowly. Eat, you need strength. Her fingers moved smoothly, but her eyes were restless. Watching me closely, studying my reactions, I forced myself to look confused and slow, the way I had been since the deafness began. I exaggerated the way I read her lips, making her believe I still relied fully on vision. She relaxed slightly. After dinner, she sat beside me on the couch and typed something on her phone. Then she turned the screen toward me. Mom, tomorrow we should talk about important things, legal things, just in case, please. My stomach twisted. There it was, the beginning. I looked at the message for a long time, pretending to struggle to understand. She took my hand, squeezing it. I just want to protect you, she whispered. A lie, smooth. Polished, practiced, I nodded, pretending to trust her. But that night, after she went to sleep, I couldn't. Sleep felt impossible. I paced my bedroom like a trapped animal. I needed help, support, a witness. Someone who believed me, but who, my sister, Liana, lived in another state. My closest friend, Harper, was caring for her sick father. There was no one nearby who could stay with me, no one who could validate what I overheard. But I wasn't helpless. I was deaf for a month, not dead. I had learned to adapt. I went into the kitchen and reached above the fridge, pulling down my old home security box. Inside it, dusty and forgotten, was a small device I had bought years ago but never installed, a voice-activated recorder. My hands trembled as I turned it on. It worked. The little red light blinked steadily. I hid one recorder under the living room shelf, another behind the curtain rod in the hallway, a third inside a decorative vase in the kitchen. If Mia planned to talk to Aaron again, or if she planned anything at all, I'd hear it, and this time I'd have proof. When morning came, I acted deaf, clumsy, confused, quiet. She made breakfast and watched me carefully. Too carefully. She kept checking the clock, waiting at 11 a.m. She sat beside me again, holding a folder, my papers, the ones she'd stolen, Elena. She said slowly, using her lips clearly, "We need to go to the notary today. Please." She looked emotional. Perfectly emotional. Her voice cracked, her eyes shined. She was performing. I pretended to misread her lips and shook my head, acting anxious. I scribbled on a notepad, "Not today. I'm tired." She bit her lip. But she wasn't disappointed. She wasn't sad. She was angry. She hid it well, but I heard the sharp inhale. I saw the muscle twitch in her jaw. She needed me to sign papers soon, desperately. But why the rush? Something was missing. Something she wasn't telling Aaron. Something she wasn't telling me. Around 1 p.m., she announced she needed to get groceries and left the house. I waited until I heard her car drive down the street before grabbing the first recorder. I clicked play, her entire phone call with Aaron recorded perfectly. Her words were poison. Don't worry, she's still deaf. She has no idea. Yeah, I took the papers. She's too slow lately to notice things. I'll get her to sign before the month ends. We don't have time otherwise. Before the month ends, my heart hammered. Why the deadline? By the time I finished listening, my hands were shaking so badly I had to grip the edge of the counter to steady myself. There was something bigger happening. Something I didn't understand yet, and I needed to find out before she made her final move. When Mia came home, I acted normal. Well, normally deaf. She made lunch, but she barely touched her food. She was restless. Agitated at 6 p.m., she excused herself to her room. I waited 5 minutes, 10:15. Then her voice drifted from down the hall, muffled but clear. Another phone call. I stood silently by my bedroom door, heart heavy, listening. I don't know, Aaron, she's resisting. I thought she'd be easier to convince. A pause. Yeah, I know the bank won't wait forever. That's why we need the house. Once she signs it over, we can mortgage it, pay your debt. My breath caught. This wasn't just greed. This wasn't inheritance. This wasn't about the future. Aaron was in debt, serious debt, and Mia was willing to sacrifice me, my home, my security, to save him. She continued, voice sharp with frustration. I don't care about her feelings. She'll be fine. She can get a small apartment or something. A long pause. Then, no, she won't find out. She trusts me. She always trusts me. A sound escaped me, small, involuntary. She was wrong. I didn't trust her anymore. The recorder would have caught the rest, but I couldn't listen anymore. My heart felt bruised. When she came out of her room later, I kept my face blank, pretending not to have heard anything. She smiled at me, soft, tender, deceptive, and I smiled back, because the truth was, I had made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. I wasn't going to argue. I wasn't going to defend myself. I was going to let her keep thinking she was in control. Let her tighten her own noose. Let her walk herself right into the trap she didn't know I was building. She thought I was weak, that I was confused, that I was deaf, but I had something she didn't, awareness. Proof, and a month of silence that had sharpened me into something new, something dangerous. That night I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, hearing every creak, every gust of wind, every heartbeat. My daughter wanted to betray me. My daughter wanted my home. My daughter wanted me out of the way, but she didn't know I could hear, and she didn't know that I was done being her silent victim. In the darkness, with the moonlight slanting across the bed, I whispered to myself, soft and fierce, this ends soon, and when it ends, everything will change, forever. By the next morning, my silence felt heavier than the deafness ever had. It wasn't quiet. It was loaded, dense, purposeful. I moved through the house like a ghost, watching Mia without her knowing she was being watched, listening without her knowing I could hear. Every word she said, every sigh she released, every anxious shuffle of her feet. It all built a clearer picture of the truth behind her intentions. She wasn't conflicted. She wasn't confused. She wasn't pressured. She was committed to betraying me. And the more I observed her, the more I realized something chilling. Mia had already made peace with losing me. Emotionally, at least, she had already decided I was a stepping stone to her future with Aaron. What she didn't know was that the stepping stone had teeth. The morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen window as Mia prepared breakfast. She hummed again, that same restless, irritated hum. She moved faster than usual, her hands trembling ever so slightly. Her mind wasn't on breakfast. Her mind was on documents, on time, on urgency. She turned to look at me with a rehearsed smile. Mom, she said slowly, shaping the syllables like she always did. I watched her lips, pretending to struggle reading them. She repeated herself with exaggerated motion, and I nodded so she would believe I understood. She handed me a note. We should go to the notary today. It won't take long. My pulse quickened, but my face remained blank. I wrote back, not feeling well today, maybe later. The disappointment on her face was immediate, but she masked it quickly, a little too quickly. She grabbed her phone and walked out onto the balcony. I stayed inside, motionless, listening. Mia, you need to push her harder. Aaron snapped. His voice was rougher than I expected. Desperate, dangerous, I am, but she's so stubborn. she yelled, "You don't understand. She's scared. Ever since she lost her hearing, she's been." Slow, weak, helpless, her words stung, but they also fueled something fierce inside me. Aaron hissed, "We don't have time. If the bank freezes the account, I'm done. My car, my job. Everything goes, and then what? You think your mother will help us then?" Us? He said it like I was the enemy. I clenched my fists until my nails dug into my palms. "We'll get her to sign." Mia insisted. She trusts me, and she's starting to break down emotionally. I've been pushing gently. She'll cave. She paused, then added in a trembling whisper, "She always caves eventually." That was when something inside me cracked, not completely, but enough to know I wasn't dealing with a misguided daughter. I was dealing with a woman who believed her mother's kindness was weakness, a woman who believed manipulation was love, a woman who had convinced herself she deserved my house more than I did. When she came back inside, her eyes were red, but not from crying, from frustration. She sat beside me on the couch and placed her hand over mine. "Mom," she said slowly, "I need to talk to you about something important." I looked around the room, pretending confusion. She sighed and pulled out a notebook, writing in big, clear letters, "If anything happens to you, I need to know I can take care of things." I wrote back, "I'm fine. Nothing will happen to me." Her jaw tightened. She scribbled quickly, "Please don't make this hard. I'm trying to protect our family. Our family." Which family? The one she wanted to build with Aaron using my property. I let my hand tremble slightly, as if nervous, and wrote, "We can talk next week." She exhaled sharply, a flash of irritation, then she forced a smile. Her phone buzzed, 2 messages. She looked at them, and for the first time, fear flickered across her face, not fear for me, fear for herself. Something was happening with Aaron, something urgent. The rest of the day, she kept pacing, checking the window, checking her phone. She was unraveling, her mask slipping, her patience thinning, and I watched silently. Carefully, sometimes pityingly, but never foolishly. Around evening, I noticed her slipping into my bedroom while she thought I was resting. I followed quietly, barefoot, stopping right outside the door. She was rummaging through my dresser drawers, my jewelry box, my cabinet, my stomach clenched. She wasn't just after my house. She was looking for valuables. She muttered under her breath, "Where does she keep the keys? Come on, Mom, you're so predictable." I backed away before she came out. I went into the kitchen and stood by the sink, pretending to wash a cup when she reappeared. "Mom," she said, sounding soft again, too soft, artificially soft. I didn't look at her until she touched my arm. She pointed at the cup and signed, "Let me help you rest." I nodded, stepping aside, but I knew now. She wasn't worried about my health. She wanted me out of the way, so she could search again. That night, after she went to sleep, I locked my bedroom door for the first time in years. I sat on the floor, my back against the bed, and went through my old safe, the one she didn't know existed. I wasn't stupid. I never kept my most important things in obvious places. Inside the safe were the real deed, the real will, my insurance papers, my bank documents, untouched. Everything Mia had taken was a copy. She didn't know that. Relief washed over me in a wave so powerful I nearly cried, but the comfort was short-lived. Because a darker, sharper fear replaced it. If she didn't know I had a hidden safe, she would keep searching, tearing through the house, becoming more desperate. Desperation was dangerous, and I was living under the same roof with her. Sometime after midnight, I heard a creak outside my door. Soft, slow, deliberate. I held my breath. A shadow appeared under the crack of the door, feet. Standing still, watching, waiting, my skin crawled. After a long moment, the shadow finally moved away. Slow steps down the hallway. She had come to check if I was asleep. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. The next morning, something was different. She wasn't humming, she wasn't smiling, she wasn't pretending. Her eyes were swollen, her hair messy, her expression frantic. She was unraveling fast. She approached me holding her phone and notebook. Her hands trembled as she wrote, "Mom, please, we have to go to the notary today." I read the note slowly, then wrote, "Why today? Why urgent?" She froze, her lips parted slightly. That was a question I had never asked before. Never challenged her, never pushed back. Her face tightened. She scribbled again, "Because it's important. Please trust me." I wrote, "Next week, when I feel better." Her breathing hitched. She stood abruptly, pacing the room, running her hands through her hair. Then she did something that chilled me to the bone. She dropped the notebook and stopped pretending. Her voice normal speed, normal tone. Poured out, no longer shaped for a deaf woman. Mom, stop making this harder. You don't understand what's at stake, okay? I need that house. Aaron's deadline is in 10 days. The bank, she froze, her eyes widened, and I realized. She had forgotten to speak slowly. Forgotten to shape her words clearly. Forgotten I was supposed to be deaf. She had slipped, badly. She stared at me, eyes narrowing, suspicion flaring, her voice lowered. You didn't hear that, did you? I forced confusion onto my face. Tilted my head, blinked, she waited, studied me, analyzed me. Then finally she sighed in relief, but the damage was done. She was spiraling, losing control, getting sloppy. A sloppy liar is the most dangerous kind. She approached me again slowly, forcing sweetness into her voice. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to overwhelm you. She murmured softly, reshaping her lips deliberately again. Just rest, okay, we'll talk later. But her eyes weren't soft. They were calculating, measuring me, measuring my reactions, measuring my weakness. After she walked away, I finally allowed my face to fall. Fear, anger, heartbreak all crashing through me at once. This wasn't going to end gently. Not anymore. Something big was coming. That night, the house went dark around 11 p.m. I waited until I heard Mia's door close. Then I crept into the hallway with the second recorder. I placed it right outside her bedroom. Minutes passed, and then I heard her voice, not crying, not whispering, talking clearly to someone in the room, to someone who wasn't me. Aaron, listen. I don't know how much longer I can wait. She's resisting. She's not signing anything. I might have to push her harder. My heart raced. She wasn't on the phone this time. He was in the room. Aaron was here, inside my house at night, while I pretended to sleep, I'm telling you. Mia continued, her voice shaking now. If we don't get this done soon, we're finished. You know what they said. They're coming for the money. They're coming for you. A low voice Aaron's answered. Then we have to make her sign, one way or another. My blood turned to ice. One way or another, Mia whispered in a trembling voice, not yet. But if she doesn't sign soon, we might not have a choice. I covered my mouth to muffle my gasp. They were planning something dangerous. Something irreversible, and I wasn't deaf anymore. I wasn't blind to their intentions. I quietly backed away from the door, heart hammering, breath shallow. I went into my room, locked the door, and sat on the edge of the bed with tears running down my face. My daughter was planning to force me, not emotionally, not gently, force me, or worse. I stared at the door until sunrise, knowing two things with absolute clarity. I was no longer safe in my own home. And Mia wasn't my daughter anymore, not the daughter I raised. She had become someone else, someone unrecognizable, someone dangerous. Tomorrow I would make my move, and when I did, everything would change. I woke up the next morning with a kind of heaviness in my chest that felt almost physical. Like grief, guilt, fear, and trembling hope had all tangled themselves inside me overnight and refused to separate. For a moment, lying under my blanket, I almost forgot what my life was now. Almost. Then I heard her footsteps in the hallway. The light, quick pattern I had memorized from the days before my world had gone silent. And everything came back at once. Hearing lies, secrets, my daughter's midnight confessions she didn't know I had heard. And the truth I had been too terrified to admit. Not to her, not to myself. I wasn't just hiding the return of my hearing. I was hiding why I had lost it in the first place, and why it had come back. This wasn't a miracle. It was a warning. I couldn't tell her that, not yet. Maybe not ever. She knocked on my door softly. Mom, I made breakfast. Can I come in? I forced myself into the familiar pantomime, glancing at her lips, pretending I was reading them, nodding with a smile that felt tighter than usual. She carried a small tray inside, toast, eggs, and tea. The tray shook a little in her hands. She was nervous, again. And just like every morning lately, she started talking to me with her voice lower. Like people do around someone fragile. Last night. You look tired, she said. If you need anything today, just tell me. I'll stay home. Her guilt was killing her. Her softness was killing me. I wanted to reach out, grab her hand, and say, I hear you, sweetheart. I've heard you for days. I know you're scared, confused, hurting. I know there are things you haven't told me." But the words stayed trapped in my throat. After she left for work, the house fell into silence again. Not the oppressive, thick silence of my deafness, but a listening silence. I kept hearing echoes of her midnight voice, the pain threaded in every word she had whispered when she thought I couldn't hear Mom. "If anything happens to you, it'll be my fault. My fault, my fault." Why would she say that? What did she believe she had done? And how long had she been carrying something alone? That whole day, I kept replaying everything I had overheard since my hearing returned. The moments that broke my heart, the ones that confused me, and the strange comments that now seemed like clues I had been too frightened to examine. She had spoken on the phone about something she hadn't told me. She had cried silently one night. She had apologized out loud when she thought I was asleep. She had said I should have protected her, not I should protect her. Past tense, like something had already happened. Something I didn't know. By the afternoon I was shaking. My deafness had lasted a month. My hearing had returned 5 days ago, and in those 5 days I had learned more about my daughter's heart than in the last 5 years. But I still didn't know the truth behind her fear, so I decided to watch her more closely, not as a mother pretending to be deaf, but as a woman searching for something she didn't yet understand. The next morning I followed her. Quietly, carefully, I told myself it wasn't spying. I told myself I was protecting her, but deep down I knew it was desperation. She boarded a bus. I stayed in my car and followed at a distance when she got off in a part of town we never visited. Industrial blocks, closed warehouses, abandoned, looking buildings with doors painted over a dozen times. Her shoulders were slumped, her steps hesitant. Where was she going? She walked into a building with no signboard on it. Just a gray metal door. Suspicious, wrong. My heart started hammering. I parked my car and got out, my legs trembling beneath me. I approached the building and pressed my ear to the wall. Something I hadn't done since high school when eavesdropping meant giggles, not fear. Voices inside, male voices, and her voice, my daughter, but I couldn't make out the words. The walls were too thick. I felt sick, hot, cold, terrified. Had she gotten involved with something dangerous? Did she owe someone money? Was someone threatening her? Had someone hurt her? Every possibility stabbed me like a blade. After 15 agonizing minutes, she emerged. She looked pale, paler than I'd seen her in years. Her eyes were red. She wiped her nose, then her cheeks crying again. I ducked behind a truck and waited until she had walked far enough that she wouldn't see me. Only then did I dare move. When I reached the building door, I saw something taped to the metal frame. A faded sign. Community support group, private meeting members, only community support for what? Inside, I heard chairs scraping. A woman's laugh, someone zipping a bag. I froze. Support group was my daughter. Going to therapy, group counseling, for what? For who? For me? No. This went deeper. Something was wrong, and she wasn't telling me. When she got home that evening, she walked inside quietly. Her shoulders slumped the same way they had at the building. She didn't know I'd followed her. She didn't know I was watching. She didn't know I wasn't deaf. And then, because she thought I couldn't hear, she whispered something to herself. I stood in the hallway, her back turned to me, and listened. "Please don't let Mom find out," she whispered. "Not until I fix everything." Fix everything. Fix what? I almost walked to her, almost told her everything, almost grabbed her shoulders and forced the truth out of her. But then she sighed. The saddest, most exhausted sound I'd ever heard from her, and I stepped back. Because suddenly I wasn't afraid for myself anymore. I was afraid for her. Whatever she was hiding was crushing her, slowly, quietly, day by day. My daughter, my bright, loving girl, was drowning in something she couldn't tell me. And that terrified me more than going deaf ever had. That night, she helped me into bed, kissed my forehead like I was her child instead of the other way around, and whispered, "Good night, Mom. I love you so much." When she left the room, I finally let the tears spill. I loved her more than my life, more than my fear, but tomorrow I would finally find out the truth, no matter what it was, no matter what it cost, because I had heard enough whispers in the dark. Enough midnight apologies, enough hidden sobs. It was time to stop pretending. It was time for the truth. The next morning I woke before Mia. Sunlight poured across the bedroom floor, warm and golden, but it couldn't reach the heaviness in my chest. For weeks I had been listening, observing, pretending. I had been silent while my daughter's intentions, her greed, her desperation, her fear, had slowly unraveled around her, but today was different. Today I would no longer be silent. Today I would face the truth, whatever it might be. I watched her from the bed, pretending to still be deaf, still fragile, still unable to hear. Her movements were slower than usual, cautious, like she sensed something was off. Her brow furrowed as she carried a tray of tea and fruit. My pulse quickened. I was ready, Mom, she said, speaking slowly, carefully shaping each syllable. I think we should talk today. I nodded, pretending to be confused. My eyes flicked toward her, then away. My heart pounded. The words she had whispered in the dark haunted me. Please don't let Mom find out. Not until I fix everything. Fix everything. I typed onto my notepad, "What do you mean by that?" Her hands shook. She paused, biting her lip. Then she wrote, I don't want you to worry. I've been trying to solve things before it gets too late. Something had been coming for her. Something that had driven her to such desperation. And now, finally, I was ready to understand. I motioned for her to sit. My hands trembled slightly, but I forced them still. She lowered herself onto the chair, avoiding my gaze. Mom, she whispered, almost to herself, I didn't want you to hear. I leaned forward slightly. My heart ached, a mixture of fear and love. I had heard everything already. Every plan, every whispered apology, every confession. But I let her speak anyway. Let her believe she was finally safe to confess. Her hands twisted in her lap. It's Aaron. He's in debt. I thought I could. I could handle it before you had to know. I thought if I could get the house, refinance things, pay off his debt, then everything would be okay. I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't want you to think I held up my hand, stopping her. My voice, for the first time in days, sounded calm but firm. Mia, stop. She flinched, her eyes widened. The words I had been holding inside for days, the words that could shatter this fragile trust forever, spilled out of me. I heard everything, every word. Her mouth opened, then closed, then opened again. She stared at me, pale, trembling. I let the silence hang for a moment, letting the truth sink in. I heard how you were planning to manipulate me, to steal my documents, to push me into signing over my home. Everything. Tears formed in her eyes. She whispered, Mom, I don't. I interrupted. Not yet. I need to know everything. I need the truth, Mia. No lies, no pretending. Her hands covered her face. A sob escaped. I didn't know what else to do. Aaron, he was in so much trouble, and I didn't know how to fix it without taking from you. I thought if I could just get the house, then everything would be okay. I didn't know you could hear me. I nodded slowly, letting my own tears fall. You've been under pressure, Mia, and I can see now you were trying to protect someone you love. She looked up, desperation and guilt twisting her face. I didn't want to hurt you, Mom. I never wanted to hurt you. I love you. I stood, walking slowly toward her. My presence filled the room, calm and strong. Mia, you have hurt me, and yet I understand. You were scared. You were trying to solve something you couldn't manage alone. Her tears fell freely now. I thought if you didn't hear me, if you didn't know, maybe it would all work out. I reached down, gently taking her hands in mine. You thought wrong, but I also know that your heart was in the right place, even if your choices were wrong. Her body shook with sobs. I held her. We sat there on the edge of the bed, the sunlight falling across us, and for the first time in weeks, the house felt like a home again. But the danger wasn't gone. Aaron was still out there, still a threat, still in debt. And Mia had almost jeopardized everything we owned. We needed a plan. I stood and walked to the safe I had hidden for years. I pulled out the real will, the real deed, and my insurance papers. Mia watched silent, her hands still trembling. This is everything, I said. Nothing is missing. Nothing can be taken from me, from us, if we are careful. But you need to understand something, Mia. Trust doesn't return instantly. You broke it when you plotted without me. You have to earn it back. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I will, Mom. I promise I'll do anything. We spent the rest of the day strategizing. I explained the importance of protecting the house legally, of speaking to the bank, of cutting Aaron out of any dangerous financial plans. Mia listened, attentive, remorseful, determined. That night, I overheard her typing on her phone. She whispered softly, "I'll fix everything. The right way this time. Mom, I won't let you down again." I smiled quietly. For the first time, I trusted her, or at least I allowed myself to hope that trust could be rebuilt. Over the next few days, we worked together. Mia contacted the bank and clarified the situation, securing our finances. She faced Aaron firmly and unflinchingly, demanding he stay away from our property and our lives. For the first time, I saw the strength I had always known existed in her, tempered by the mistakes she had made. One evening, we sat together on the couch. I looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the young woman she had become, not the schemer I had feared, but the daughter I had raised, struggling under the weight of choices she had made in panic and fear. "I almost lost you," I said softly. "I almost lost this house. I almost lost us." Her hands tightened around mine. "I know, Mom. I know, and I will never put us in danger again. I promise." I held her close, feeling her warmth and her heartbeat, listening to every word, every sigh, every small sound. The silence of the past month had taught me how precious hearing was, but it had also taught me how precious trust was, and how fragile the bond between a mother and her daughter could be when secrets and lies grew between them. The following weeks passed quietly. Aaron stayed away, his debts managed by Mia through legal channels, and our home became our sanctuary again. Mia worked hard to repair what had been broken, proving through actions, not words, that she had learned from her mistakes. I watched her grow, more confident, more careful, more loving, and I realized that life, even after betrayal, even after fear, could heal, slowly but surely. One evening, Mia and I sat on the porch, the sun setting behind the trees. She leaned her head on my shoulder. "Mom," she whispered, "thank you for not giving up on me. I don't deserve you." I smiled. "No, Mia, you always deserved love, but sometimes love needs patience, and sometimes it needs silence to understand." We stayed there together as the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in pinks and golds. I knew there would be challenges ahead, but for the first time in a long while, I felt certain of one thing: our bond, tested by deception, fear, and silence, had endured. And the life I had feared I would lose, the life I had thought would be taken from me, was mine again, not just because of documents or property, but because of the love that had weathered the storm, stronger and deeper than I had ever imagined. I held Mia's hand tightly, feeling her squeeze back. "We'll face everything together from now on," I said. "Yes, Mom," she whispered, together. The air was still calm and filled with hope. The past month of silence, fear, and betrayal had ended, and a new chapter had begun, one where honesty, love, and trust would guide us forward. For the first time since the deafness began, I felt free. I felt whole. I felt heard.